Minnesota health professionals are keeping a close eye on measles cases after an uptick last year.
Our Pauline Lee joins us live outside mHealth Fairview Southdale Hospital with a closer look at what families need to know to keep everyone safe. Pauline?
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, Minnesota is actually doing pretty okay compared to other states around the country here. We're actually at the low end of measles cases. That's compared to places like New York, Vermont, Florida, Hawaii, other places around the country. Those states, by the way, have one case. We actually have two. More on that in just a second. But health experts, they are cautiously optimistic. They do, however, say that vaccine, that MMR vaccine, really the best way to keep your family safe. Let's take a closer look at the numbers here. Minnesota's second case of the year was reported just last week. Now, that follows 70 cases in 2024, the second highest total in the past 15 years. Now, the Minnesota Department of Health says this most recent measles case involved a resident under the age of 1 who was diagnosed in another country, and the infant wasn't infectious when they returned to Minnesota. 700 cases of measles have been reported across the country, and 2025 marks the second highest number of cases in decades. One local pediatrician says this is the solution.
I think the key right now is to double down and make sure that susceptible children, young children, are being immunized, not just in Minnesota, but around the United States. The best we can do is try to present the data, present the information.
Texas alone has reported more than 600 cases and 2 deaths. Those deaths were 2 school-age children. Now, back here in Minnesota, our latest case, that child was actually too young to receive the routine MMR vaccine. Routine MMR vaccine, it's a 2-shot series that kids normally get between the ages of 1 and 6. However, experts do say kids as young as 6 months are eligible to receive 1 dose before they travel internationally. So just some things to keep in mind for the future, guys.
Important for parents and families to know. Pauline Lee live in Edina. Pauline, thank you.
Investigators believe a shoplifting suspect in southern Minnesota was likely planning what they're calling a mass casualty event. So they arrested the man last week. This after an incident at a store in Mankato. The charging documents say Mohammed Adan Mohammed took off with more than $2,000 worth of firearm magazines, bear spray, and body armor. Investigators say that he left a survival gear shopping list at the store and was reported to police for online threats the week before. State agent told officers that there were strong indicators that Mohammed was planning an attack in the next 24 hours. A search of his home turned up the gun that he used while posting those threats online. He is facing charges for theft and making threats. Investigators are trying to figure out if arson is to blame for a fire at a Metro Elks Lodge.
Around 10:30 Monday night, crews put out a fire on the roof of this Elks Lodge. This is in North Minneapolis. Investigators later found 2 to 3 bottles filled with an accelerant on the roof. It's not the first time this has happened, because just 2 weeks ago, another bottle filled with flammable liquid was thrown against the back wall.
They threw it up against the building, and the whole building, until it burnt off, it was just in flames until the inflammable burnt off.
Security cameras do circle the building. Video from that night 2 weeks ago captured an image they hope will help investigators find whoever is responsible. A new lawsuit accuses President Donald Trump and the U.S. Attorney General of bullying transgender youth.
Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison says that he filed this lawsuit after the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi threatened to sue the state and cut federal funding. Bondi says the Minnesota state policy allows transgender young people to take part in youth sports. It contradicts a Trump executive order recognizing only 2 genders, male and female.
I'm not going to sit around waiting for the Trump administration to sue Minnesota. Today, Minnesota is suing him and his administration because we will not participate in this shameful bullying.
So Minnesota GOP House Speaker Lisa Demuth blasted Ellison, saying that he would, quote, rather risk federal funding and file yet another taxpayer-funded lawsuit than simply do the right thing and keep boys out of girls' sports. We have not heard back from the White House. A massive rescue within 72 hours left the Animal Humane Society stretched thin.
Listen to this. The shelter took in more than 200 animals living in concerning conditions. That includes cats and dogs and more than 5 dozen birds. We're talking about pigeons, to be exact. That sent the shelter into go mode to separate and isolate to ensure that bird flu does not spread.
We had pigeons that we wanted to isolate, and pigeons can carry it like any bird can, and flu can cross species barriers, so we actually worried about our cats.
Humane Society tells us all 4 cases were a mix of custodial releases and warrants were being served to seize the animals. We have reached out to authorities regarding any charging decisions. Of course, we'll update you as soon as we do, in fact, learn more.
Anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. have increased for 5 straight years. They reached a record-breaking high last year. The Anti-Defamation League's annual audit identified 9,354 cases of assault, harassment, and vandalism in 2024. So that marks a 5% increase from 2023 and a 344% surge over the past 5 years. Now, the organization says the majority of the incidents were classified as harassment of Jewish people or people perceived to be Jewish. Vandalism was the second highest. 3 states with the highest number of incidents, those were New York, California, and New Jersey. The numbers are based on incidents reported by victims, the media, law enforcement, and partner groups.
A Western Wisconsin adventure park is closing. Trollhaugen made the announcement in a Facebook post just yesterday. Management says rising insurance and equipment prices for the zip lines that are out there, along with other features, led to that tough decision. The adventure park's been open since 2012. Trollhaugen's ski operation will remain open.